families depend on her.
Kerry Sanders, NBC News, Orlando.
All right. There are some new laws in Arizona that directly affect you, ranging from foreclosures to concealed weapons to abortion. So let's get right to it with our legal affairs contributor, Craig Wisdom. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Let's start with the homeowners now liable for tens of thousands of dollars on the foreclosures.
What this is a change to is Arizona's anti-deficiency statute. And there was a recent study, I think you might have seen the numbers, that people are saying that maybe half of the people that have mortgages on their homes at this point, the mortgages are more than the house is worth.
Right, upside down.
And these laws deal with what happens if they foreclose on the house and they can't get enough to cover the amount that you owe. Now, it used to be broader, that most residences were covered by that so that they couldn't come back and sue you for whatever the difference was. Now it's much more limited, and it's only your own personal residence that's covered, and you have to have lived there at least 6 months.
This is to address people who are trying to make a fast buck?
Yes, or just to, decrease the amount of, debt that never gets paid out there. And so if it's your house and you've lived in it a while, you should still be okay. But if you've got rentals and things like that, or you haven't been there, you could be in trouble if you get foreclosed on.
Okay, what about concealed weapons now allowed in a restaurant or bar with a liquor license? Now, some establishments can post a sign and...
Absolutely, it's completely voluntary. It used to be you had this law that you could, wherever you could legally carry a concealed weapon, you couldn't carry it in any place with a liquor license, which was any restaurant with a liquor license or a bar. Now they've changed that so that unless the restaurant or bar posts a sign saying, no firearms, now you're allowed to take it in there, but you're not allowed to drink at all.
Right.
So essentially it creates a new crime. If you've got your gun but you start drinking, you're carrying under the influence.
What about the parking lots outside?
There's also a new law that says that your employer can't, with certain exceptions, prevent you from keeping a locked gun in your locked car at their place of business.
So you can leave it in the vehicle and be safe and no problems at all. What about that 24-hour waiting period, mandatory in-person counseling with a doctor before an abortion?
Obviously going to be controversial. A new abortion law, as you said, it requires that there's basically a 24-hour waiting period from the time you first come in before those services can be provided, and also some requirements for counseling, and there's also some outs for people for religious or moral reasons from dispensing certain type of contraception.
Is that like RU486, I think it's called, or that kind of medication, things like that?
So some restrictions on that.
Okay, I do know that that same law exists in other states too, right? So Arizona just kind of joined that. Medical malpractice, this is kind of interesting. The burden of proof is...
There's certain changes that'll basically make it harder to sue and get damages in certain situations, mainly for emergency room care. So some people think this is, cutting down on their legal rights to defend, to, receive reimbursement if they're injured. Other people think it'll be better to encourage doctors to be able to practice without being quite so overwhelmed with liability.
All right. All right, we'll keep our eyes on all of that. Thanks so much, Craig, for coming in and reminding us of what is now on the books, folks. Okay, when we come back on News